Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and continuing our coverage for President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's three-day official visit to the Hungarian capital, Budapest. We will be starting with our special reports. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi called on the Visegrad Group and the other European countries on Tuesday to localize some of their industries in Egypt and to twin their universities with Egyptian ones to assist in the advancement of the country and other developing nations. Let's watch this report.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said on Tuesday that he does not allow his country to be a transit point for illegal migrants seeking to reach Europe, stressing that Egypt hosts nearly 6 million refugees from Africa and other unstable countries. Speaking at a press conference following the Visegrad Group summit in Budapest, Hungary, the president said that although Egypt is hosting up to 6 million refugees from Africa and other unstable countries, it has never allowed them and will not, from an ethical and human standpoint, to immigrate illegally to Europe. The V4 summit, which gathered Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, in addition to Egypt, tackled a series of subjects, including Egypt's role in the Middle East, cooperation to combat terrorism, illegal immigration, and energy security. President el-Sisi stressed that Egypt has no camps for those refugees, but it treats them as guests on its soil, allowing them at the same time to join its schools and universities, as well as being covered in its coronavirus vaccination campaign. He added that he himself does not oppose discussing or talking about the issue of human rights, but he wondered based on which approach. In Egypt, President el-Sisi said that the state targets to provide decent life for its population that exceed 100 millions. He urged for more cooperation between European countries and Egypt in the fields of education and industry localization to help create job opportunities for more than 60% of the Egyptian population. He said that what needed was a deeper form of dialogue regarding this matter and not demanding political leaders in the region countries to apply their standards. He stressed that Egypt persistently seeks progress and urbanization, noting that the country launched a campaign targeting raising the living standards of up to 60 million Egyptians in villages.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and still with our special reports. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said Tuesday that Egypt is only seeking to get its share of the Nile waters without affecting other in any way, referring to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam issue with Ethiopia and Sudan. More details in this report.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said on Tuesday that Egypt is only seeking to get its share of the Nile waters without affecting others in any way, referring to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam issue with Ethiopia and Sudan. In a press conference with Hungarian President János Áder in the Hungarian capital Budapest, he noted that Egypt implemented huge water projects at the cost of $80 billion American dollars. He added that Egypt is considered one of the countries that have severe water scarcity, as it didn't have other resources than the Nile River. President el-Sisi noted that Egypt is approaching the stage of the water poverty line with less than 500 cubic meters of water per capita per year. He reaffirmed that Egypt is seeking to reach a just and legally binding agreement on the filling and operation of the dam. Hungarian President János Áder received on Tuesday President el-Sisi at the Presidential Palace in Budapest, where official ceremonies were held in the honor of the president.
And dear viewers, now let's have a look at the history of the Visegrad Group, or the Group of Four, and its importance.
Slovakia. They take their name from the Hungarian city of Visegrad. In 1991, Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia joined forces to work together more closely and prepare their planned European Union accession. Today, the V4 countries exchange information and develop priority programs in order to better cooperate in an increasing number of areas. An important basic principle is that within the European Union, the V4 carry more weight as an alliance than they would as individual countries. Each year, a different member of the group takes over the V4 presidency. Despite their differences and the fact that they belong to different political groupings within the European Union, in recent years, one topic in particular has brought the V4 together: the refugee question. All four countries categorically reject fixed European Union distribution quotas. Their position is largely responsible for the European Union's inability to make progress in reforming its refugee laws. At the end of 2017, the European Union Commission instituted legal proceedings against Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic over their refusal to take in refugees from an agreed EU distribution program. Constitutional developments in Hungary and Poland particularly have also strained the relationship with the European Union.
Welcome back, and for more on President Sisi's continued three-day official visit to the Hungarian capital, Budapest, we are glad to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohammed Fahmy, Professor of International Relations. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, on President Sisi's current visit to Budapest, President Sisi in his speech said Egypt has presented a world model in the fight against illegal immigration. This came during the President's speech yesterday in Budapest. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
I think it's a very accurate statement and assessment of the situation to state that at the moment Egypt is really maintaining very strict security over its own borders, not only from the northern side, whereby the Mediterranean is, but also from the eastern side, Libyan desert, southern side, where Sudan is, and also across the borders with Israel. So it's very important at this stage for Egypt, in a meeting with countries in Central Europe who are also members of the EU and of the NATO, for Egypt to highlight its importance also to the safety and security of European countries by maintaining these gate entries at a very high level of security.
Right. Well, the President said that he will not allow Egypt to become a transit point for illegal immigration. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
I think this is also in the same vein. You know, when the country is able to maintain its borders by reducing or limiting, I think for the most part ending any attempts towards illegal immigration stemming from Egypt. I think statistically speaking, quantitatively, we can see that there's a drastic reduction in the amount of immigrants that used to emanate from Egypt through the sea. I think a lot of these pockets have now ended due to the very close and stringent maritime control over the northern borders, the northern coast. I mean, we find a lot of attempts also at cooperation, detecting and early detection and prevention, also not only maintaining the security itself over the borders, but also at having the sort of early alarms in case there are groups or gangs that may be interested in maintaining this kind of, profit and gain from the strait. So I think it's a very multifaceted process, and I think Egypt has been committed to it successfully, and I think the numbers only show that.
Yes, well, sir, Egypt has been praised internationally for its efforts to curb illegal immigration. Would you please shed light on how the international community views Egypt's strides to decrease illegal immigration?
Well, I think, the Mediterranean basin, ever since, I would say throughout the past decade, and even from before, has been witnessing a lot of problems, terrorism, insecurity, coming from the southern parts of the Mediterranean, from North Africa, and this has been a major problem for all of Europe, really, and maybe even further the rest of the world. So when we have a success story here modeled in Egypt, I think it's very important for the country to promote that, to propagate this model, and maybe even work also with other partners in the region and elsewhere to replicate the Egyptian experience and being successful in dealing with such a threat. Egypt is a country of 100 million people, but we also have more than 6 million refugees here from very different countries from across the world. And I think it was also mentioned in Egypt's statements that the country, while being very hospitable and accommodating and welcoming to these refugees, treating them like equal citizens almost, Egypt is also keen on them not leaving the country to other places. So Egypt will not, again, as you mentioned, as we heard, will not play this role or will not accept being a transit point or an entry point for them to move forward to other places. So I think it's quite soothing and comforting for the European countries when they hear such firm statements coming from Egypt. But they're not only statements; they're also actions that are backed up by data and by statistics.
Mm-hmm. Sir, what's the weight of the Visegrad Group, or the so-called V4, inside the European Union and internationally?
Well, it's a very important role. We have to understand that these countries, while being part of the EU, they're also different countries in the sense that they have witnessed episodes and decades of being socialist and state-led development countries for a very long time. And they are still on their way to move more towards a liberalization, towards a capitalist and private-based economy. So in this sense, they also share some experiences with the Egyptian case, which was also for a very long time a socialist state and exposed to the state-led development model. So there are a lot of common experiences and shared lessons that can be learned from both countries. They can also serve as a great entry point into the EU because of their central position and easy access to all parts of Europe by virtue of their geographical proximity to major countries like Italy, France, and also Eastern European countries. So they have this geopolitical importance that I think Egypt can definitely build on. The issue, for instance, of the Renaissance Dam was also raised. They can provide support to Egypt on this basis, and I think there's a lot of room to be exploited there in terms of trade and economic ties with such countries.
Right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed Fahmy, Professor of International Relations. Many thanks for your insight. And dear viewers, that brings us to the end of this special edition for our coverage of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's 3-day official visit to the Hungarian capital, Budapest. Many thanks for watching.